jail for about a year, so I'm more proud of that than Arizona package of budget bills signed by Governor Brewer yesterday has permanently eliminated more than a half dozen state programs, including the program for uninsured children, State Parks Preservation Fund, Kids Care, that provides health insurance for children of the working poor. Under the new budget, the program has been eliminated. 38,000 children who are currently enrolled will no longer have health insurance. That's according to Monica Corey, the Intergovernmental Relations Assistant Director for Access. And of course, that means that Arizona is the only state in the union that does not have health insurance for children. Tourism Fund, rated local transportation assistance funds gone, full-day kindergarten funding gone, temporary assistance for needy families eliminated. This state is on the verge of total, complete collapse. This Republican legislature has systematically disseminated the worst possible policies and begun the entire destruction, I think, of the state of Arizona's infrastructure. The people you elect here, two of them, to the House of Representatives, will play a critical role in trying to save what's left of Arizona. This is a very important campaign. So we're going to try to get the best out of these candidates, and we'll ask a simple question. Hopefully they can come up with a 2-minute answer. My first question is, it would appear, certainly as the demographics would show, as political reality dictates, Democrats elected from Legislative District 28 in Tucson, Arizona will serve in the minority in the House, based upon the drawing of a legislative district statewide. How can you be effective within a minority? I suppose it's appropriate to go to the minority representative for the state legislature from Legislative District 28. Steve Farley, if each one of you can think about that question, we'll have 2 minutes to answer it. You're in the minority, outvoted in every committee, outvoted on the floor, ignored by the governor, ignored by the Republican majority. How can you play any constructive role in that minority? Mr. Farley.
Thank you, John. Thank you all for being here. I know that it's kind of tough to pull yourself away from March Madness this time of year, but there's a different kind of March Madness we're talking about. That's that budget we just passed. And it wasn't us. As John said, that was purely a Republican budget. It was Governor Brewer's budget. It was a Republican legislature. It will devastate this state. There's no question about that. But it didn't have to be this way. And that's where you can be very effective as a Democrat. And I believe that it is possible for us to take the majority this year. Because I do believe that this Republican majority has spent 44 years taking us down the wrong track, and people are waking up. People are more aware of what is going on and what needs to change than they've been at any time I have seen. When the class sizes start going to 40 or even 50 kids per class this August, I think there's a lot of independent and Republican moms and dads who will be saying, maybe it's time to vote differently. As a legislator for the minority, I am actually in leadership right now. I'm the House Democratic Policy Leader. I have been working within that system to be able to do what we can. One example I'll give you is I'm a small business owner also. I'm the public artist that did those murals downtown, those black and white photo murals on Broadway of people walking down the street. So since 1991, I run my own business. I know how hard it is to pay for health care or even find health care available. So I was a health care group member, which covers small business owners and small business employees. The Republicans have hated that, and they've tried to go after it every year I've been there. Last year, the budget showed up with a draft eliminating healthcare group and 21,000 lives insured by healthcare group entirely. I managed to make a few phone calls, find the right people, make the right arguments, and the next day when the final budget came on my desk, healthcare group was saved. So I was able to save 21,000 people's health insurance through that method. So we'll move on to the next question. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Sultan, and I'm also a candidate for the 28th House. The question that John C. Scott asked was, assuming that we're elected and we're serving in the legislature in the minority, how are we going to be effective? And I get this question all the time, most recently from actually another candidate. And you know, the question comes up all the time, what in the world do you think you can do when you're in the legislature. It's true that you just have one vote, and in the minority, that one vote doesn't count for much. But there's a lot more that you can do as a legislator than just vote. And a lot of it has to do with leadership and making sure that voters understand what's really at stake and that Arizona really is in a crisis. And persuading people and closing very difficult deals when you're at a lower level of power is what I do for a living at the SAB negotiation group. And I deal with this all the time. And this is one of the most difficult negotiations that needs to be done because we have a party that has all the power. The Republicans have right now the governor seat and control both houses of the legislature. And that's why they've been able to make a lot of these party line very disastrous cuts. And what I want to do is not complain about it. What I'd like to do as a legislator is fix it. And I've been working on a plan of how to fix it, meeting with people who know a whole lot more about this than I do, certainly. And I put together sort of my own, the New York Times article today mentioned that Obama appointed his deficit commission. Well, I sort of have my own informal deficit commission of thinkers, of economists from the U of A and other places who have studied our budget and have given great time and effort and great ideas to being able to fix it. Now the question is, how do you persuade them? And that's what I do, and that entails understanding your interests, bringing in a bipartisan coalition where you have Republicans who they respect on your side, and that's part of the solution as well. Thank you very much.
I thank Saguaro Eastside Democrats for hosting this event. Thank you all very much. Chair, I don't want to agree with the premise of your question that we will be relegated to the extreme minority that we are right now. I do agree with Steve that when I do the walks, I notice people, especially the independents and a few Republicans who live in the households where the Democrats are also living, and they're beginning to sound like Democrats, and that's a wonderful feeling. It may be temporary, but if it's happening in Pima County, it may well happen in other counties. We may wind up narrowing the gap a little bit. Granted, Democrats don't swear allegiance to Grover Norquist. We swear allegiance to the Constitution, our voters, and stuff like that. I know that it is difficult to deal with people who are entrenched ideologically. I'm willing to turn into a pretzel if I have to get what I done. Which means I can work on both sides of the aisle. I do not have much of an ego per se. If they don't want my name on a bill, I'm not going to require it. There are many things that people can agree on, not too many with this legislature, but one can try. Basically, if I can even push back, think of what Steve did. He was so vested in health insurance because it strikes him at his core. The same way there are some issues, like women's issues, that no matter how much somebody else may try, I can speak to those issues more. I can look those guys in the eye and tell them what to do with some of their thoughts, and do it gently. I do know that one can make a difference. I've seen other legislators make a difference, but not put their own name on the bill sometimes. But I definitely know that we will pick up at least a couple of seats. And I see that my time is coming close to being up, so that's what I